And welcome to Before You Bet, presented by Bet MGM. I'm Josh Ingils. I'm going to be tasked with keeping things on the rail in lieu of our good friend Joe Osborne. Off today, I got the keys. We're going to be pumping some plays, pumping some juice. Big day. Brian, welcome to the chat. Stackman is here. Hit a big one last night. The old triple-double. DeBrusque came home with the fourth goal, plus 1,100. No football last night. Action on the ice. We got more action on the ice today. 10-game slate in the NHL. We got Jon Metler, fresh off absolutely crushing big plays in the association. He'll be up first. And then professional bettor Hitman coming up 12:20. Make sure to watch it. We're going to go over all 6 games. We're going to go over some of his best bets, some of his looks, how he reacted to the opening lines on Sunday. So let's get into things. We're going to bring in Jon Metler right out of the gate. Johnny M's, so happy for you to join me. I didn't want to ride solo, that's for sure. Leading off with you was great. Looked at your best bets. You tried to sewer me with a very hard name to pronounce, but I did my homework. I got it. I don't watch any basketball at all anymore. Maybe just blindly betting your bets. This is what you've done since last Wednesday. A plus 850. A plus 600 on Thursday. Last night, another plus 700. The singles, I know you're a single bettor. You're a low volume guy, correct?
Yeah. I don't place many bets.
Yeah, but I mean, you're tickling some of the boys in the chat. That's for sure. It's been absolutely hot, and it's funny though. Like, there's this balance of engagement versus is it a smart bet to make too, but you've seen a lot of engagement within those, and cashing those tickets really helps along the way too.
Yeah, I think the SGP thing, I know a lot of people, it's like, don't play an SGP. I think you can take some good swings when there's like opportunity for, you think you know something, but like I don't really want to place a straight bet on what I think I know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what the player I'm going to use today for an SGP, I have an SGP for today, and it's just going to be fresh on the show because I didn't tweet it out. He falls in that category where it's like, I think there's something there with him, but I don't know if I want to place a straight bet. So if we're right, we could be really right. And if we're wrong, well, then you just lose your SGP, which is a much lower stake, right? So I kind of look at it like that. I think you just got to take swings. And I know you play that game as well. It's like,
that's basically that's my betting portfolio. It's like,
yeah.
I don't mind. Like last night, I think I posted 7 plays. I went 2 for 5 and I won 6 units.
Yeah. It's just like I used Tim, like yesterday it was Tim Hardaway Jr. and it was 20 plus points. He hadn't scored 20 plus points the entire year, but it's like, I think there's something there. Like Jaden Ivey's hurt. He's going to get shots. The matchup with the Trailblazers. Then it's like, could we be wrong? We could absolutely be wrong. But if you're right, you're going to hit a big plus price. Like his total was 11.5. So that was someone I had a straight bet on. I felt good about the 11.5. But again, if you're going to play SGP, a lot of people go the other way. They water it down and they go like from 25 to 20 and like, they put all these big minus prices. I think you need to go play all the alt to the over. So, or even
I know, and that kind of leads into the engagement too. Like no one wants like, oh, here's my plus 210 4-leg parlay, and you're like, oh, okay. But someone else here is promoting this 4-leg at like 12-1, 13-1, and you're like, oh, this might have a few paths to some outs. So I do enjoy taking some swings, and it's been very profitable in terms of NHL betting, mostly what I do. But great to see everybody in the chat kind of getting going. Malcolm Gill says the Mega Powers. Holy moly, surprised they weren't on Raw last night. Don't get producer Mick fired up about the Hulk Hogan introduction last night on Netflix. He was gassed up, but I don't know. Even Johnny's been watching old wrestling on Netflix. How was that experience down memory lane treated you?
Oh yeah, I went down the rabbit hole yesterday because I was seeing all the promotion for Raw and I was like, I know it's on Netflix, and I was like, I just want to go back and watch because like when you're a kid, you know you're watching. So I went back to like 2000, I think it was 2002 Royal Rumble. I don't remember the exact year I picked, but I would have been like 10. So that was when I went to watch, and I was texting my buddy. I was like, because we used to watch when we were kids, and I was like, we gotta get together and watch a Hardy Boys Hell in a Cell match because those guys were insane. So it's kind of cool to go back. I can't believe it's all archived on Netflix. It's definitely a trip down memory lane.
No, but like growing up, like, I don't know, like the kind of guys you grew up with, like when you were whatever, like 11 to like 13, like moves trivia, like letting guys like do like finishing moves on you that maybe could really hurt yourself. That was growing up at its finest. Kevin saying no, that's certainly no shots on the asshole parlay. I love the asshole parlays in football. The square money line bets in NFL, I really like. I think there's actually a couple spots coming up in the wild card weekend where you can get some even money on some just straight money line stuff, because some of those lines are getting out of control. I mean, 10 points, 9.5 points. It's a tough look. But let's get to John's place here. We start off. Now, I'm going to set you up here, John. This is how we're going to do it. Bilal Koulibaly, under 4.5 assists, minus 110. I love looking at these things when you send it, and then I got to reverse engineer it and look back. It's kind of like what I do with Derek's place too, like find the angle, see where you're coming from with it. And a lot, to me, looks pretty awesome out of the gate. So right away, 13-point dog. So time on the court could be in a blowout. That could be gone too, right? Especially with the under. But he's missed 2 games with an illness, and he played just 9 minutes in the game he exited. I'm assuming it was with that same illness. So, like, he might not be up to 100% and be able to play his full minutes, which I'm assuming is not priced in.
Yeah, it's just so Bilal Koulibaly. So, like you were saying, he's missed those 2 games, and then he's coming back. He's also young. He's only in his second year. So, how much do you want to push minutes? And he is someone who plays big minutes for them. Like, he has games where he gets up into like 38, 39, and you're front end of a back-to-back. You are a 13-point dog against the Rockets. Like, how much do you want to push him? The one concern, and we're talking about on the Prop Pick Show, because Adam Scherher brought it up, was a lot of his teammates are questionable. Jordan Poole's questionable. Bob Carrington's questionable. The thing is you need teammates to convert. There's like that fine line of like, okay, his usage could increase if Jordan Poole's out, but on an assist market, you need teammates who can convert shots. Like, if Jordan Poole's ruled out and Bob Carrington's ruled out and me and Jingles are put in the lineup, he's not getting 4.5 assists because me and Jingles aren't making the shots to get the assist. So there's kind of that thing. I just don't view Bilal Koulibaly as like a 4.5 guy. Like, beginning of the year, you can go back. I think it was a BYB play where we were talking about, I had like 2.5, like plus 130. So he's kind of surged here a little bit, and he's had a bunch of big assist game, but you look at the potential assists again, it's like 7.5 converting to 5. That's just a really high conversion rate. And you're going against the Rockets, who are the best defensive team in the entire NBA. So I think that's a big number, for a big ask for him. I don't think the minutes will be there, but I projected it out like the minutes would be there. So I love the under here.
Yeah, I was just trying to bring up your tweet from this morning, 3 hours ago. Your price.
Yeah.
Minus 222.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that and I put it in the account immediately because of that. I mean, I didn't get the price that you got, but it even looks at the price that's still available. That minus 110 still a buy.
Yeah, and I was very generous. Like, I put his minutes up to like 30, I think 37. So like, I was very generous with what I did with his minutes, and it still came back as that minus 220. So there was a huge gap there. I don't really share many unders. I don't talk about many unders because they're not enjoyable for a lot of people to bet on. But that was one I was like, we absolutely have to talk about Bilal Koulibaly, because I just don't think 4.5 is the correct number for him.
Phoenix, Charlotte. Seen this number 5.5, 4.5 sitting around there. Phoenix has won 9 of the last 10 meetings. 6-4 against the spread on that. Suns off a 109-99 win last night. I'm not a basketball bettor. I don't know how much to price in for back-to-back games. I'm sure the association's more so than any other sport in all of the Big Four. But Charlotte's been awful. 0-10 straight up in their last 10, 1 win in their last 19 games. But the market likes Charlotte. And you do too. Talk to me about it.
I took an SGP in this game. Are you talking?
What do you got? Oh, I'm all over the map. Oh, sorry. You got the SGP. This is how good I am. Yeah, I'm on the Pelicans. I wrote it right up for Phoenix, Charlotte. Talk to me about the Suns, Hornets plus 750. Talk to me about Tyus Jones and 15 points and 5 assists.
Yeah, so this is the SGP I was rolling with, plus 745. I didn't see any like boost for a 3 leg, so I just went with 2 legs here. You can add something if you want to catch a boost somewhere. So they moved Bradley Beal. They're obviously the Suns. They're trying to trade Bradley Beal. They move him to the bench. They move Yusuf Nurkic to the bench. And then yesterday, Bradley Beal actually had a big game off the bench for them. And Tyus Jones was kind of the one who caught like the ricochet of not playing many minutes. And I guess my question is, I don't feel like that's real. I know that's how that game played out. I just don't think that's his role moving forward. And his props have kind of like tanked here because he's just been going under in general. And then yesterday, you only played 19 minutes. So this was what I was kind of talking about earlier, where it's like, really do think there's something here with Tyus Jones' pricing. You do kind of question what you saw yesterday. So I'd rather take this as an SGP than as a straight bet. And he's, it is the second night of back-to-back. He didn't play many minutes yesterday, so he should be good to go today. Could Beal just be ruled out because of trade rumors? There's that path as well. He's also playing in Charlotte. He went to Duke. It's kind of like that homecoming angle as well. So I just don't think 15 plus 5+ assists for Tyus Jones is a big ask against the backcourt of the Hornets. So give me plus 745 on the SGP there.
We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. You got to play on a spread here. You got Pelicans plus 5.5, minus 110. Timberwolves. I mean, you got Zion Williamson with a question mark for a person who doesn't bet NBA. And like, before you get into this, has there ever been someone like Zion who basically had the keys to everything? I mean, even his card collection, like he was one of the most sought after cards to get. And now he doesn't want to be a professional player, it seems like. Like, what's your take on someone who knows this league better than anybody on Zion? Because as kind of a person who doesn't like the association, seeing people like Zion Williamson, it's kind of a sour taste.
Yeah, he's just I don't think his commitment to actually playing basketball and being an NBA player is there. He's incredibly gifted and super athletic and like a really good player when he's on the court, but it's when he's on the court and he's not on the court often. And the Pelicans kind of find themselves in this weird spot. They're still committed to him. At least that's what they're saying. I feel like the Pelicans could have one of the like fastest, I don't want to say rebuilds, but like, okay, they trade Brandon Ingram. He's in rumors. We'll get to the pick in a second. Which they trade Brandon Ingram, say they get something for him. Say they trade Zion Williamson, they get a bunch for him. They're also at the bottom of the standings here. So imagine you get like a top 3 pick. So the assets you get for Williamson, Ingram, and a top 3 pick, and then you come back next year. They might also trade McCollum, but say you come back next year with DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and then that pick, all those assets as well. I think they could flip this really fast. So I think they're in a good spot. We'll see what they do.
What can you get from Zion? What can you get? Like what's his value?
Oh, they would get something. They would for sure get first round picks and stuff. But someone in the NBA, someone would absolutely try to get lucky, and hopefully he becomes the number 1 pick that he was drafted to be. So for sure, there's no doubt they would get something for him.
Oh, that terrible mentality of like, no, I can fix it. Like a crazy girlfriend. No, she's not. I know she's absolutely crazy, but I can fix her.
Yeah. I'll talk about the bet though now. We're going Pelicans plus 5.5.
Yeah, drop me 5.5.
So they're taking on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves second night of a back-to-back. They're in Minnesota. They got to travel to New Orleans. That was a very tough game. They played against the Clippers. Playing against the Clippers is not a fun game. The Clippers are very defensive. A lot of good defenders. Kawhi Leonard's back. They had to fight back. The Wolves were down like 20. They ended up coming back to win. It's a tough spot. And the thing that really jumps out to me here is the Wolves offense can stall when Anthony Edwards isn't being Anthony Edwards. And the New Orleans Pelicans have a first-team all-defender, Herb Jones. So like they've been beat up. They're losing a lot of games, but a lot of these guys have come back as well. No Trey Murphy, but Herb Jones on Anthony Edwards, I think is like the matchup of the game. And then I put Zion Williamson in here because he's questionable. And they said he could come back this week. And it does kind of seem like he could play tonight. So I like the Pelicans if he's not playing. I think you have an edge at this 5.5. The question is, does he get ruled in later? Probably like a minutes restriction, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But that's just another thing that just makes this price look a lot better when you already think you have an edge. So I took the Pelicans plus 5.5.
For people who don't bet a lot of NBA like myself, what time do you know the lineup? I know in hockey you get about 30-minute prep before the line announcements. What is it in the NBA? If no one leaks it, right? If it isn't a big player and it's like, oh, he's not playing today, like what's the official lineup? What time's that come up?
Usually about like 2 or 3, you'll start to hear like if it's early, like someone's immediately ruled out. But like last night, Karl-Anthony Towns went through warm-ups and that the game was at 7. You didn't hear it till like 6:45 or 6:30 that if he's in or out. So kind of depends on the player. I do wonder, like Zion Williamson, they're playing at home tonight. It feels like a spot. You bring him back. He misses the second night of the back-to-back. They would be on a back-to-back tomorrow. So then he gets 2 days off and then he could potentially play Friday again. To me, it doesn't make sense to sit him tonight, play him tomorrow on the road, and then have 1 day off between the next game. I think you'd want to go test those minutes, then give him 2 days off. So that was kind of the angle as well.
Lance in the chat asking, would you consider taking Edwards under 26.5 points?
Yes, I would absolutely consider taking Edwards under 26.5 points. Herb Jones is just, he's an elite defender. So, and like I said, Edwards, that was a tough game he played yesterday. So I'd definitely consider that. Someone else said, but that price is long gone. I'm assuming they're talking about Bilal Koulibaly. The break even was minus 220. So I don't if you're seeing like minus 120, minus 125 now.
The break even was
minus 160. Okay, that's pretty drastically different. But the break even was minus 220. So you do have an edge, but obviously that's really closing on you if you're talking about minus 160.
Producer Mick shouting at us saying Hitman's coming up at 12:20 here. Talk NFL. Don't be a bunch of freeloaders. Hit that like button. That is the exchange here on Before You Bet, presented by BetMGM. Hit that like button. Goes a long way to helping us there. Johnny goes a long way in padding our pockets. Absolutely tearing up some big plus money plays over the last 7 days, and then comes on, drops Koulibaly under 4.5 assists, minus 110. Pelicans plus 5.5, minus 110, and that Suns Hornet 745 SGP. Tyus Jones 15 points, which is the tough one. That's I think just that alone is like plus 300. And then the assists, which is kind of where his assist market is, right? I think that's kind of like a projected 50-50.
Yeah, I was looking at 10 points, 7 assists. His assists. I was trying to decide like which alt I was going to go for, because for him, I just think it's minutes. And I don't think he's being priced properly minutes and like production because of what you saw yesterday. But the assists, his potential assists are kind of down, and Devin Booker does seem to be on the ball more. So I was like, I'll go with the 5. I'll keep the 5 at the 5, and the points. He should be able to attack the Hornets backcourt for like, you could also probably throw in the 3s made there for him if you wanted to add another leg. But yeah, I decided to go 15 and 5 instead of 10 and 7. They're pretty close. I think they're both like plus 700. So,
all right, deal. All right, Johnny, let's keep cashing tickets, bud. Great to see you. You'll be back here tomorrow as well when Joe returns. So have a great evening, pal.
All right, thanks for having me on. And yes, I will tweet it out later.
Thank you. Now, love Johnny, but I get to see him often. Next guest. I'm super excited to bring on Hitman. And I don't know people within the industry, people just recreational bettors. Great to see you. One of the most influential prop bettors, one of the most influential bettors. Like, it's easy to tag yourself as a professional bettor, Hitman, but I mean, your name within the industry is absolutely glowing. So I'm so happy to have you on today, pal.
Oh man, Josh, what a great intro, man. What a great intro. I thought you were going to do like the Bret Hart best there was, best there is, best there ever will be. But that was the best you could have done other than that intro.
No, but it's like I've never met you, but like people that I know, like your name comes up constantly about stuff, and like as a bettor myself who tries to get as sharp as you can, you're someone obviously to look up to, and I'm super excited to be able to grab you here for 20 minutes and just talk shop. And I mean, 6 games. Let's go right out of the gate. Sunday's openers. Did you see anything, or did you get anything early where maybe that number's gone now, or you just saw like the Minnesota game? Like, if Minnesota doesn't get blown out, like, do you see that move from 2.5 to 1.5? Like, I know it's not a big move, but what were your reactions early?
I got involved. I mean, I hate to pass post on like a number that's not of it. That's not going to benefit anybody.
That's fine. It's still like what you were thinking.
But FanDuel opened the look aheads on all the games, like theoretical matchups, and if the matchups didn't happen, and there would just be a refund. And Eagles were minus 2.5, minus 120 on that, and I thought that was a valuable number. I thought it should be north of 3, and it did turn out that way. Now, hopefully, Jalen Hurts plays, or else I'm going to get a number that's not so good. It's going to be negative closing line value, but that was the one that kind of stood out in the early cycle. It's tough to win on playoff spreads totals, so you kind of want to get to some of the early numbers, and the early limits aren't bad at a lot of places too. So that's all I jumped at before the games became official.
I got a $250 team total. Got sent to the trader yesterday. That's never a good thing. You don't like to see that. But let's get to it. And before we actually get to the games, Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday, I got to talk to you about, I mean, what I think is your greatest strength in betting is the prop market. And we're seeing some big spreads, right? And teams don't roll over in the playoffs. Where do you change your approach to prop betting? I mean, I'm not asking you to give away any secret sauce, obviously, but how does your mind change early? Because some numbers came out for the Saturday game. I mean, guys like George Pickens is like 52.5 yards. He's a perfect example of it. Like, that game script is tailored for garbage time, and you don't give up in playoff games. How do you change your approach to prop betting when it comes to playoffs?
Trying to do a lot of scouting of the coaches on which coaches tend to just have the same. They don't change anything during the playoffs. They have the same type of game plans. They don't really adjust for opponent. Like, a team that really doesn't adjust for opponent, for an example, is sometimes the Houston Texans. Like, it doesn't matter if they're facing the best ranked run defense in the league or the 32nd ranked run defense. They're going to have that early down run rate, and they're not going to change. But like, a good example of a team that maybe in specific playoff matchups is going to change is like the New England Patriots back in the Belichick-Brady days, where if a team has a run defense weakness, that's what their game plan is going to be tailored to, and vice versa if they have a pass defense weakness. So I'm looking at like what coaches like change their game plan based off their opponent. Star players, I typically, like, during the regular season, it's very rare that you find me betting overs on star players. It's just hard to find value on that. They're easy guys to price. Playoffs, maybe sometimes I'll look towards betting them more, just because, for example, like a star running back, you know that the times of splitting work to maintain him during the regular season, those days are over. Like, Josh Jacobs at the end of the regular season was getting a little bit less carries in some of these games because they knew that they were going to be in the playoffs. Probably unlikely they're going to get the 1 seed. There's probably going to be no committee in Green Bay this week. So that's like an example of a time maybe I'll look at betting some star players over, because there is no next week for a lot of these teams. And once teams do get down, sometimes during the regular season, you just say, all right, let's move on to next week, keep our guys fresh. During the playoffs, you're going to still throw the ball. You're still going to be aggressive, down 21 with 5 minutes left in the game, because there is no next week. So that's a few of the things that are a little bit different during the playoffs for me.
Yeah, and I wasn't a Derrick Henry better weekly, but just looking at his rushing total at 98.5 yards now, might be priced in. I don't know if he was a 98-yard guy week to week. That seems like a high number. Was he?
It kind of depended on the week, but like, Derrick Henry's another good example. Like, in December, there were some articles that came out about him that, like, oh, they're looking to get some of the other running backs involved, like Keaton Mitchell and Rasheen Ali and Justice Hill, to keep him fresh for the playoffs. So, like, that's just another example of a guy that maybe during December I was betting more of his unders, to be honest. But during the playoffs, I'm not saying I'm going to bet him over this week, but I tend to be more willing to look to bet some of these star players over during the playoffs.
That's a great insight. I really appreciate that. You don't have to give us all that. I know a lot depends on what you do, but let's get right to it. Saturday, Chargers, Houston. You tweeted about Bobby Slowick yesterday. Last year praised. And I mean, the joke about Houston this year was, let's run Joe Mixon on first down, to the league's worst success rate on first down. And you already mentioned how predictable they've been all year and how the change. I mean, if you're taking the Chargers now at 2.5, is that more because it's against what you think this Houston offense will be? Because Joe Mixon's running on fumes because they ran him 30 times a game early in the season and out of his injury. And Tank Dell was a massive loss to that offense as well.
As much as I dislike Bobby Slowick and some of the stuff that Houston is doing on offense, remember, like, it's all about the number. That's what determines if I like a team or not. At some of the prices that are available, like at +3, like, this is the lowest in market that the Texans have been rated literally all year at this number. So, like, it's not me breaking news to people about this Texans offense, and CJ Stroud has struggled this year. It's reflected in the marketplace right now. And it's getting to a point that I haven't bet this game, but I'm kind of leaning towards Houston. I mean, Houston still does have a defense, and the Chargers are still an offense that lacks firepower. Like, so it's not like Houston's a team, or excuse me, the Chargers are a team that I'm dying to bet to win by margin on the road that often, against a team in Houston that they're probably average to a very, very slightly below average at power rating wise. So it's one of those games I kind of got to have I got to take a long, hard look at myself and really think about if I do want to get involved with Houston because of how bad their offense has looked in recent weeks. But that would be definitely where I'm leaning towards in this game, despite Bobby Slowick's play calling shortcomings and CJ Stroud's regression and their offensive line's regression too this year.
Yeah. To finish as the most hit quarterback, the most sacked quarterback in football. I mean, there's a lot of people getting hit this year, and I know he's top 3 for sure. So let's say you're assuming this closes at the 2.5 and not the 3, right?
I mean, it's kind of like right now it's kind of at 2.75, which means the 2.5s are juiced to -120. The 3s are juiced to -120. That's probably where I see it closing, to be honest. I think there'll be interest in the Chargers from some people at 2.5. I think the Texans will get interest at 3. Yeah.
All right. Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I got on the Pittsburgh team total under 17.5. That number's come down a bit. Is this kind of looking maybe like last year's 31-17 loss to Buffalo? Same thing, 10-point road dog. 10 now, open at 8.5. And I mean, do you want to ride? I know you just said bet in the number. I get it. But is Baltimore a team that can win to margin? As you saw them close out that game, like they didn't have a chance to close out that game and win by margin on Saturday, yet they did because of it.
I thought that the unders got betting heavy in this game. It opened, I believe, at 46 and it's down to 43. I agree with that move. I didn't get a piece of that move. I regret that because in retrospect, I thought that was a good bet. I kind of lean towards Pittsburgh at +10. I think that there is something to the series history with these teams. And I know that Baltimore blew them out the last time they played. That was the first time in like forever that there was a team winning by margin in this series. I do think there is a little something to the fact that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers defense has done a really good job at limiting Lamar Jackson from running. I think that because they've limited him from being effective in the ground game, Zay Flowers' injury is really big. I mean, I would guess that Flowers isn't playing in this game. That is just a guess. I don't have information on that. They're really lacking a lot of firepower in the passing game when you do take Zay Flowers away from this team. Like Rashad Bateman is not a number 1 wide receiver. Their depth at wide receiver is really bad, aside from Bateman. So I assume they'll go a lot more 12 personnel with Likely and Andrews, but I kind of have a harder time with seeing Baltimore getting margin in this game. So I would lean towards Pittsburgh getting the 10.
Yeah, Pittsburgh beat them first matchup without scoring a touchdown, plus 2.5 points or 2.5 yards per play in that game. But as you kind of mentioned, they find a way to be competitive because of that defense. And 10 points is a lot. 10 points is a lot. Let's get to Sunday. We'll go through quick. Denver, Buffalo, up to 8.5 here. Rookie QB on the road, Orchard Park. If I'm holding Buffalo at this number, I'm absolutely terrified of Bo Nix coming on the back door because I think that's the strength of the Denver offense. They can't run the ball. Buffalo's defensive weakness is the run game. It's not a great matchup there, but I think maybe Bo Nix can come back with some points late. Which side are you on? Like, which side do you lean? I know you're not asking for a real play or anything, but like, which side would you feel more comfortable right now with the number sitting currently at the 8.5?
Yeah, playoff sides and totals. It's going to be a lot of leans, not a lot of plays, a lot of leans.
No, that's fine. I understand that. No, I'm not trying to dig a play out of you. That's for sure, right?
No, we'll have one now. We'll have one, but Yeah, I would lean towards Buffalo in this game.
Nice.
Rookie quarterback on the road in Buffalo, as you mentioned. Favorites do tend to do a little bit better in the playoffs because the foot doesn't come off the gas in these games. Like Buffalo, again, they're gonna be pedal to the metal. They're gonna be they're not going to try to leave the back door open in this game. You've seen it with a lot of double-digit favorites in the playoffs. They've been successful in the past few years. Denver's not really a team that, of course, Bo Nix is capable of backdoors, but it's not exactly the passing offense that I'm dying to have to get into a backdoor. I think that Denver's going to come out and they're going to try to play keep away early in this game, but they don't have a run game. Like their run game.
Oh, I've lost so much money trying to predict
I had Jaleel McLaughlin over rushing yards against the Chiefs because I had a hunch that he was going to get more of the usage. He had like 16 carries for 39 yards.
And his TV at like plus 230. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's infuriating.
Exactly. It got over by like a half yard. So, like, I'm not in love with Denver. I think that this is the game out of all of them that I think is the most likely that a team wins by margin. So I would lean towards Buffalo.
One thing I am waiting for in that game, waiting for Marvin Mims to lead the game in receiving. Hopefully I can get that somewhere in the 6-7 to 1 rate. Maybe something there, but I don't know. I don't think I'll get it that high, but that's kind of where my buy point is. Green Bay, Philadelphia. I mean, you talked about it already. Loss of Christian Watson. Where do you stand on the Jalen Hurts coming back from concussion situation?
I can only go off what I'm reading about it. I mean,
absolutely speculation.
Yeah, just speculation. I think he's going to be playing. I'd be really surprised if he's not. Yeah. I mean, the market's saying that it's like 90-something% likely that he's playing as well. So that's what I'm thinking for that. This is probably the game that. This and the Vikings game is the game where I really don't even have a lean on, to be honest.
Same.
Out of the 6 games that are going on. I have Philly Raiders the best team in the NFC. I think that this price is warranted. I think that Christian Watson was really the only field stretcher that Green Bay had left. I have a tough time seeing a path for success for Green Bay's offense, just other than Jordan Love is a streaky player and he gets super hot. And that's what it would probably take. Love would have to have a 90 percentile performance for his ability in this game. So, I kind of like Philly, but not even enough to call a lean, to be honest. But I do have them rated as the best team in the NFC. So,
awesome. All right. So, if you're better, you're sitting there listening to Hitman talk. A lot of contrarian takes, and that's how you be profitable betting a very liquid, very efficient playoff market. Houston, obviously not plays nothing, but like you're against the 2.5 kind of, or against the 3 for sure, kind of like Pittsburgh. And you think because that's maybe swung too much. Buffalo margin, you think there's a path for margin, but your best bet coming in Washington, Tampa Bay. And you're going Washington, +3, official play, even money here. Before we get to the mild leg soreness stuff, how much of this is in the dismal effects, the dismal injuries, the cluster of that Tampa Bay secondary, which hadn't played anybody already and now has to play, hopefully, a healthy Jaden Daniels, but they could be without 3 starters in that secondary.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with Tampa's secondary injuries right now. Like it's Mike Edwards, Jamal Dean, Jordan Whitehead is out for this game. Antoine Winfield, we don't know if he's going to be playing or not. There's just a lot of cluster injuries going on with this Bucs defense, and their schedule has been so weak since the bye that they just have not found many teams that could expose this pass defense right now. They're 4 they started the year 4-6, and after the bye, their 7 games that they've had have been against the Giants, Carolina twice, Vegas, Dallas, the Saints, and the Chargers. Chargers was an impressive win. That there's nothing else to say. It was an impressive win. But the schedule that they have faced, it's just been teams that haven't been able to take advantage of the defense. Like you saw even games like Cooper Rush had a really big game against this defense. New Orleans, listen, that New Orleans team is terrible, but they were at least able to look functional against Tampa Bay. You have on the other side of the ball, like Marshawn Lattimore. I think that there is some merit to the matchup that he's had against Mike Evans, that he just has more success against Mike Evans. And remember, it's a Tampa team that they do have a good run game and a good offensive line. That's going to be a plus matchup against Washington's defense. But they really are lacking at complementary playmakers right now, aside from Mike Evans. With Jalen McMillan's the best guy left, Sterling Shepard in the slot. Like, I don't think he's a starting caliber player at this point in his career. Like, we don't know if Kate Otten's going to be back. And
Payne Durham
and Devin Culp at tight end right now. Like, if Lattimore
Culp came out of nowhere last week, man. Like, he made some big catches, but like that's your number.
He's athletic. He's athletic, but he's still not a starting NFL tight end at this point in his career, in my opinion. But I'm just closer than market on these two teams right now. I think that Daniels can have success in this matchup, and I think on the other end, if Lattimore does neutralize Evans a little bit when Evans doesn't have an explosion game, I think that there's a path that Washington's defense could have a little bit more success than the market's anticipating. So I have these teams a little bit closer in power rating than the market does, and it's not like Tampa has some huge home field advantage either. So give me Washington +3, +100.
Brock Purdy, 350 yards versus Tampa Bay. DeVito, 189 yards. AOC and Desmond Ridder combined for 195 yards. Cooper Rush, who you mentioned, 292 yards. Young had a couple games where he went off for 298 and 203, and Spencer Rattler went for 240, throwing to, oh, Jesus, let's try to figure it out. Dante Pettis and Kevin Austin as his number 1 and number 2 wide receiver. So there's a lot of worry in terms of how that Tampa Bay defense is going to hold up. Where are you on mild leg soreness right now, though? If you're backing it, you got three in the account. Like, did you see the hit he did take in Atlanta where he got twisted up, and like,
yeah,
if you want to connect the dots, you can kind of put it there.
Yeah, but I just kind of think that it would. I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's like there's nothing there, but like we came out and completed 50% and 38 yards in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys. So I haven't went back and watched that game. I know there was a lot of film guys that I'll watch game reviews on. A lot of them were saying that Daniels played a lot better than that stat line as far as receivers dropping passes and everything. Like, I don't know. I haven't watched it myself, but I just think bad games happen sometimes. And it was just, I mean, this is a Dallas defense that gave Baker Mayfield a lot of trouble too at points during that game too. Like, it is a legitimate pass rush that they have that every now and then they can put together a good game. So I didn't make a ton of the Daniel stuff. I expect them to be fine. I was actually almost leaning his over rushing yards to be honest with you in this game. So I don't think I didn't have it as a big part of my handicap.
Okay. I like it. That's more us media types. They're just talking about it and turning it into a story in terms of what it is. But like, if you look at it, it's an easy thing to turn into a story. I mean, you can turn anything into a story, honestly, but no, that is a good point. And he has been running an absolute ton. Minnesota Rams. I mean, Sam Darnold getting showered after the Green Bay game, not so much last week. Do you think just because of that game, we're seeing that 2.5 move down to 1.5 just because of recency bias? Because everybody watched that game, turned it off at half.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some recency bias in it. It's just how much do I think is warranted? And I didn't like really lower Minnesota's power rating after that game, but the thing that did stick with me that I think is meaningful for this game is Sam Darnold. Like, that was the first really big game of his career. And I mean, all you could chalk it up to is just sometimes nerves get to the best of people, and he's not been in that situation before. I mean, he was missing high on every throw. He just was not pulling the trigger on wide open receivers. Like, all I could chalk it to is that the moment just kind of got to him. And, it can happen to a first-time guy. Maybe he comes back, he learns from that, and now this second game, he's totally fine. That is totally a possibility. But I kind of want to see it before I jump on Minnesota again. And if he has a big game this week and they go into next week, I probably won't even think about it again, about, Darnold, about is he going to choke in the big moment and everything. I'll just throw out what happened last week and say, what, first time, big game, wasn't ready for it. Whatever. He made the adjustments the second game and played good. But I think that the concern with Minnesota based off that is warranted. So I don't
2
think
for
it's
11 in the red zone passing for 7 yards. That's how that final stat line went.
I get Minnesota. I watched every second of it. So I mean, I felt like Minnesota should have been up double digits at halftime. I truly felt like they should have. And maybe it's a different game at that point if they are, especially getting the ball to start the second half. But there's nothing. I mean, Darnold just did not come to play. But that's the biggest factor in this game, I think. So I don't think it's recency bias. I think that the move is warranted.
All right. Love to hear that, because that's another narrative that will be pushed too as well. So it's always great to listen to professional perspective in terms of stuff, because so much of what happens, and it might not be reflective in the market, but in the echo chamber of betting social media, is those narratives that I brought up, right? The Jalen Hurts concussion will be a big thing, obviously. Is Jaden Daniels really hurt? Are we overreacting to Minnesota and Sam Darnold in one game for a 14-win team? Like, those are things that professionals maybe don't overreact to as much as recreational bettors. So I appreciate it. Super excited to listen to you talk about everything and see your approach, because like I said, one of the best of the business, great name in the industry. And you don't like, people bet and like, but you live a different life of betting compared to other people. Like, it's so different. I put you in like the top 5% of the industry in terms of it. And like, the difference between the top 5% and like underneath is different. Like, it's how you get down is way different than other people, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, when most of your income is relied on betting, you have to be more than just a good handicapper. It's getting money down at places, there's making good connections. There's a lot of accounting. Like, yesterday was the biggest accounting day of the entire year, because all the season long futures ended. So it's going back and grading like
kiosk paper.
Yeah, it's like great. It's grading like 70. Like, all right, how many yards did Calvin Ridley have this year? How many touchdowns? All that stuff. So yeah, but I wouldn't trade it for my old job. So can't complain too much.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for the insights for Super Wildcard Round. Appreciate it. You. Good luck with your bets. Have a great week, and hopefully it's not too cold where you are there, pal.
It is. No golf for the next week or two, but hopefully once the off season comes, a lot of trips, a lot of golf. Thanks, Josh.
All right, I appreciate it, pal. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Boom. Hitman. Awesome. Great insights. Really appreciate that insight into how he looks at prop betting from the change of regular season to playoffs, because you're not going to go out there and see a lot of professional bettors going out there betting Justin Jefferson's over receiving yards. No, it's like he said, that's a very easy one to price. There's not a lot of value in it, but there might be a change in terms of where it is in playoffs, because we're seeing a lot of big spreads. Game script is going to be massive. So a big shout out to sponsor BetMGM. Awesome. Before you bet Tuesday in the books, Jon Metler dropped a bunch. Wait, I didn't even drop my hockey plays. I got some hockey plays. I got to pump some juice here before we go. 3 NHL stacks. If you stuck around this whole time, I greatly appreciate it. We're going to throw these out. I'll tweet them out after. These were the first ones in the account. Also have some Toronto money line 3-way at plus money. There they are. There's King Boog. There's Insight. Appreciate everybody there in the chat. Little bone there. Another 1,400 What about 625, 800, and 700? Ottawa, Detroit, the old double stack. Prices have changed in single game stacks, so we've gone to double doubles, triple triples, triple doubles. Timmy Stützle, Drake Batherson together. That's a correlated line. And Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat have been absolutely on fire. Their stack alone is worth betting. It's hitting 4 straight games. And that quad there, plus 625. I go full units on these, as you saw in the card yesterday. If you go 1 for 4, it was a very profitable day anyway. Like, if you're going to do that, Kevin, it's round robin time. Like, don't miss out on one of them because I think there's value on it. The Columbus-Pittsburgh game, I always love Columbus more at home because one of the best scoring offenses at home. But these are two teams who combined are one of the best over combinations in all of hockey. Pittsburgh still has the worst goals against average and all. But Marchenko, Monahan, Voronkov, that top line, all correlated, and then the correlated line in Pittsburgh. Crosby, Rust, and Raquel, all playing 5-on-5, all playing PP1. Put them all together, plus 800, and I'd probably buy that to plus 625 as well. And the St. Louis, Minnesota one. This one might be a little tougher to get some goals with Gustafsson back, maybe a Binnington start as well. But these are two lines I like. You can get crazy. There is a big triple double in here if you add Zuccarello and you add Dylan Holloway, and they all correlate 5-on-5 MPP1. But I'm a little worried about Matt Zuccarello, who's dealing with an illness. So I think I'll just go Rossi and Boldy. And then I take Holloway out of the other triple stack in St. Louis because I'll take Shen because he's the center. And that's how you win that battle. And I always go second line. If I don't know if I want to take the first line in St. Louis or the second line, if they're on the road, I'm taking that second line because that first line always has the worst defensive matchup. So take that second line, Jordan Kyrou, Braden Shen for a point. Plus 700. We pumping some juice in the chat. I appreciate everybody there. Appreciate producer Mick. Appreciate Before You Bet here, presented by BetMGM. Hitman, great spot. Metler throwing out some big ones too. Tuesday, we got a giant week up ahead. We got football all weekend. Let's have a week, everybody. Before You Bet wrapped up Tuesday. Back here with Joe tomorrow. We'll see you then.